Brendan, my electronics mentor, and I have mutually agreed that the outside skin of my shop, or my garage, all the metal on the outside, not counting the roof now, just the skin on the outside, should be grounded. You know, if someone were to run an electrical wire through the wall and somehow short it to the metal, the entire outside of the building would become hot. So we're going to go ahead and ground that. I think that's a great idea. Now, it might not be me that does, that would cause the thing to be hot, but maybe, the next guy that owns this place. I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and ground it, and I'll show you how we're going to do it. Right now I have an extra long wire with an alligator clip on each end. I've got it hooked to this metal right here because it's hooked to the metal here. And then we run it on in. I just kind of hung it there, and I've got it hooked to this string of wires on this copper line I have right here that I have all my gator wires connected to, and then I have the antenna wire here coming out of the back of my radio also connected to that same wire. I mean, why reinvent the wheel, right? And you can see that it works pretty good as an antenna.
Prior to his start here tonight for the Drillers. That's going to do it for the Drillers Dugout Show. Stay with us. We're coming back with tonight's first pitch, Game 3, the Drillers.
Okay, so that's what I have right now. Now, after we get the skin grounded, I should not be able to tune this thing in like that. So let's get it grounded and find out. Now here's the ground rod that I drove in. If you go down about 5.5, maybe 6 feet straight down in the yard where I'm sitting right now, you'll hit bedrock. Can't go down much deeper than that. That's all there is to it. We slammed it with a big old sledgehammer. Even the boys that come out and put up the electrical wiring inside the shop, they pounded on it. It just wouldn't go down any further than what I already have it here. And the way I was able to get it down 7 feet was to put it at an angle all the way down till we hit the bedrock, and then that gave us about a foot sticking out. This was an 8-foot ground rod, so then we had to bend it over. Nothing else we could do. I mean, we're down 7 feet. It's just going to have to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this this little grounding lug thing here. Now there's a board. Let me back up here a little bit. Behind this metal here, where all these screws are that fasten the siding, there's a board there, a big wide board, about, I think it's a 2x4 if I'm not mistaken. We're going to go ahead and put this probably over here like so, somewhere. Maybe right here. Maybe right here would be the best place. I don't want to interfere with these screws. They have those rubber seals around them. Keeps water out. So I'll just go ahead and mark it with a pencil, and then we'll just run it from there straight down and hook it to there, and we'll be done. So let's see. Well, first I'm going to have to take this grinding wheel and grind off the paint where inside the pencil lines that I draw around these. Let's take it one step at a time. Well, there it is. Now I'm going to start grinding off the paint. I want it metal to metal. Alright, that's it so far. I'm going to go ahead, let me see. I might run that thing this way. Okay? It'll cover it all up. When I'm all done with this thing, I'm not going to leave any metal exposed. I'm going to put some silicone around there. But I want to make sure I got that good metal-to-metal contact first. So let's bore a hole and get this thing up, screwed to the wall. Well, that's that. And that doesn't mean it's good, though. We have to ohm it out. So I've got I got the multimeter connected up here. I didn't want to connect it down there. I wanted to connect it to this bracket right here, which goes through the metal with a screw. That'll tell us if we got good connection all the way through. All right, the other lead, I'll just touch the ground. You keep your eye on the multimeter. I'll just touch it to the head of the bolt here. There we go. Perfect. Great ground. Now I can go ahead and snip off this wire, maybe an inch or so above it, and then tomorrow I'll go ahead and put silicone on it. The last thing I did after I cut it, we just had some pretty sharp edges on it. I went ahead and took my motor tool and just ground them off a little bit, get rid of those sharp edges. Nice and smooth now. Let's go see how our antenna works now that everything is grounded. I'm going to have to fill all this in with dirt too. Well, here we go.
Shallow center field going out is
how about that?
Shortstop, and he makes the grab in shallow center field.
Now, why is it, now that the skin is grounded, why is that working like that? Well, I'll tell you why. The alligator wire that I have stretched from here out to the outside of the building It's acting as the antenna. I just removed that antenna wire that was out there, and keep your eye on this. This is our antenna, a signal strength meter, S units. When it was out there, when the wire was out there, this thing was all the way to the right. Now you see where it's at. I've got a gator wire hooked to it, this one right here, but it's not hooked to the outside. Yeah. Come on, focus in, baby. There we go. Yeah, we can't hardly get any antenna strength at all. Anyway, the outside skin of the building was doing pretty good, but I'd rather have it grounded, so now it's a little safer. I'll run these videos by Brendan first before I post them to the internet and get his input, and I may have to make a correction there, here and there. I don't know. I think I did everything right. In about an hour or so, my daughter will be home from work. She's working half a day on Saturday, and when she gets here, we're going to go ahead and go out to the indoor pistol range. We're going to shoot our guns for a while. She has I have the Glock 43 9mm, and we picked up a Remington RM380 for her a couple of days ago. And when she got it home, her husband, I also got some ammunition too for both of us for target practicing, you know, cheaper ammunition, not the more expensive stuff. This is Italian made, and this is Serbia made. Serbia. Neither one of these are made in the United States. Can you believe that? Anyway, her husband took her out to fire the gun a little bit before we go to the range on the weekend, which will be today, to familiarize her with it. You know, she's fired my Glock 43. The problem was she has a lot of difficulty racking it back, so that was one of the reasons she went with the I showed her the Remington, and we looked at a few others, the Luger and a couple, and there's this one other one, I can't remember what it was. 2 or 3 weapons we looked at. She liked the RM380, and it's got a good reputation. So far it's got a good reputation. Remington's had some real problems here lately, but there's good reviews on the RM380. Anyway, the problem was, as long as you're firing the weapon, bang, 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 no problem. It works well. But when you rack it back manually, you get a double feed. And it's really not a double feed. She called it a double feed. I call it a failure to eject. It's not ejecting. Now, let's compare the Fiocchi shell to the Monarch. Back here where the ejector would come into play. Look how thick the Fiocchi is right here compared to the Monarch. Look how deeply cut that is also compared to the Monarch. Much deeper, you know, relatively speaking. And if you take your thumbnail and catch it on the edge of this rim, your thumbnail catches real good. And it's got a nice sharp edge, which the ejector would catch. Now over here, not the case. It catches your thumbnail, but only about half as much. So when she's racking that baby back manually, the shell's not being ejected. Now, when you're firing, I guess there's enough blowback to whip that baby out of there, and so there's enough of a lip to do that, but not manually. Anyway, I told her, she's on the way home from work. I said, hey, look, pick yourself up a box of Fiocchi shells on the way home, and we'll see if they work any better in your Remington. Well, here we go.
Shallow center field going out is
how about that?
Shortstop, and he makes the grab in shallow center field.
Now, why is it, now the skin is grounded, why is that working like that? Well, I'll tell you why. The alligator wire that I have stretched from here out to the outside of the building, it's acting as the antenna. I just removed that antenna wire that was out there, and keep your eye on this. This is our antenna, a signal strength meter, S units. When it was out there, when the wire was out there, this thing was all the way to the right. Now you see where it's at. I've got a gator wire hooked to it, this one right here, but it's not hooked to the outside. Yeah. Come on, focus in, baby. There we go. Yeah, we can't hardly get any antenna strength at all. Anyway, the outside skin of the building was doing pretty good, but I'd rather have it grounded, so now it's a little safer. I'll run these videos by Brendan first before I post them to the internet and get his input. And I may have to make a correction there, here and there. I don't know. I think I did everything right. And later on, after we get back from the range, my daughter still hasn't arrived from work, but when we get back from the range, I'll go ahead and we'll test from the ground here to a screw on an opposite panel, maybe over there. I can't, it's hard for me to see it in the sun here. Yeah, we'll try testing it from the ground over to the screw over here, or maybe the screw over here, or I might even grab an alligator wire, bring it all the way around, test it to one of these screws to see what happens. We should have continuity. Well, here we are. Yeah, here she is, loading up, getting ready to kill that target.
All right, that's 5.
She's shooting for the middle.
Where'd it go?
Lower right.
All right.
Down here. You got to get up there in the middle. Upper left.
No, it shot right
Shoot
through the
between them. Well, she just took his head off with a bunch of shots. She's going to go for the 9 right now. Pretty good. Just to the right. Good shot. We're going to have a contest now. We're going to shoot the red as close as we can. Left, right, middle, left, right. I'm going to take 5 rounds. Then she's going to take 5 rounds with her gun. So I go first.
Right on the dot. All right. We have dead center. Shot. Little off. Little way off. But about the same.
And now it's Shanna's turn with the 5 shots. There's not even a target there. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, but you fired 5 rounds, right?
I think it doubled.
And 2 went through the same hole.
I think it went through the same hole. Okay, Dad's gonna use my target and my gun to see what he can do with it. My holes have already been named. He's such a little smarty pants. I guess I'm gonna let my father show me how it's done. You better not disappoint me. Okay.
1, 2.
So he made it, no bullseye.
Too close on this target.
He made it, no bullseye. He couldn't even make the black.
Well, at least I got them all at the target. 1, 2, 3, 4. Where's the 5th one at? 5.
Be right here.
Well, I did pretty good. Pretty good.
I want everybody to see the purpose of this. I'm going after his manhood. You see my little homemade circle?
Good. Good shot. Good shot.
There it is.
All right. Kicking butt.
Jammed again.
That's all right. Pull it back slightly. It'll go forward. Slightly above the circle.
Slightly above it.
Yeah.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how it is done.
girl. Are you ready for this? Now, look at there. You can put your whole hand through that thing. Getting back to our grounding effort for the outside panels or skin of the building, Brendan said that some of y'all may look at this and say, well, that's, you know, those panels aren't really connected together electrically or, you know, bonded electrically. And some of you may say, we didn't really get a good ground. That may be so. But we did the best we could with what we had. And, you know, every one of these screws, you know, there's white coating on both sides of those panels. So the screws go through. They ran them through. They didn't drill the hole first. They ran them through. So there's very good metal-to-metal contact between the two by the screw threads. I decided instead of just going around the corner here and see if we have continuity with this panel, I decided I'd just go completely as far as I can with my wires and gator wires and everything, the other side of the concrete, and test that. So I have the red wire connected from ground to the multimeter lead right there. I got my multimeter set up here. We'll just take the black lead, stretch it as far as we can also, and see if we get any continuity. Let me change hands here on the camera. Alright, I'm going to touch it right here. Get through the paint a little bit there. Let's see if we get any continuity. Yes, we do. See there? Alright, so we're you know, electrically grounded all the way from at least to here, and you can bet the other side is going to be the same way. So I think we're in pretty good shape. Just in case we still have a few naysayers out there, I decided to go ahead and run the wire all the way around this way as well, and check all the way around the corner of the building here and see if we get any continuity. So here goes. Stretch it as far as we can. We'll go ahead and hook it on this one right here. And keep your eye on the multimeter. There it is. Okay guys, as far as I'm concerned, this project's over. And now for a wrap-up on our experience at the range with that Monarch ammunition. My 9mm Monarch was brass casings. The daughter's 380, I didn't know it at the time when I bought it. I was looking at the bottom. I should have pulled one of the shells out of the box, but I didn't do it. The 380 Monarch ammunition had a steel casing, and I think that was the problem. It would jam up every once in a while. It was not a failure to eject. It was not a double feed. What would happen is when she would fire the weapon, the shell would eject, but the one coming up out of the clip would they come up at a slight angle and then go in, you know, because they're pointed up at an angle like this anyway in the clip, and it would go in like this. What was happening is the bottom here of the breech was catching on the bottom of the steel casing, and it would not let it go all the way in. So it would hold the slide open, and you know, the rack would hold the rack open. So what you had to do is grab the slide slightly and let go, and it would fly it forward, and everything would be fine. She had to do that probably 8 or 10 times. I didn't like that, and that's not good. So I would recommend that you go with a better quality ammunition. Name brand really doesn't matter, I don't think, as long as it's not steel casing. Try to go with the brass casing on the 380 in particular. Not too long ago, I received a Gmail message from a fellow named Mike out in Georgia, and he said that I noticed you need some 45 RPM records to put in the jukebox that we're working on. And he says, I have been collecting, you know, I have a collection of 45 RPM records, 3,000 or more, I think is what he said. And I'm thinking, my God, 3,000. He said, I'd like to go through my stash, and you know, if you'll send me the list of the records you have, I can go through my stash and maybe I have them, you know, and I'd like to send them to you. He said he's been watching the restoration videos I've done for a long time. He's watched every single one of them, and it's really helped him a lot in his radio restoration hobby that he has, and he really appreciated it. And he'd like to pay me back by going through his stash and sending me some 45 RPM records that may be on the list. Well, I wrote him back and I said, hey, look, you know, this is a tremendous offer, but you know, you don't owe me anything, okay? There's no need for a payback. You don't owe me anything. Matter of fact, nobody owes me anything for anything. It's just the philosophy of life. Nobody owes anybody anything, okay? So I said, I'll tell you what, I'll send you the list, you go through, you come up with what you have, we'll work out a deal. We'll work out a deal. Well, he requested my address, I gave it to him, and then a few days later, look what comes to the mail. A box from Mike. And we're going to go ahead and open this baby up and see what's in. I already know what's in here. It's going to be some 45 RPM records. Let's see what old Mike sent here, and let's see what kind of a deal we can work out with this fella. Because one way or the other, you know, these are not going to be free to me. No, someone somewhere will get the benefit of Mike's generosity if he doesn't want to be repaid. So one way or the other, that money will not stay with me. So let me shut the camera off. We'll open up the box and see what we've got. 37 records. 37. 27 that were on the list, and 10 others he thought I would like to have in case I can't find any more on the list. You know, I was expecting 4 or 5. 27 is, that is what you call above and beyond the call of duty. We're talking some really, really good records or good songs. Here's one on the top. Help me, Rhonda, help me, Rhonda. Let me show you. Let me read you what he wrote first. I'll tell you what, this is totally unexpected. Totally. Let me read you what he says. Dear John, it turns out that there were a bunch of the 45s in my stash that you had on your record list. I am enclosing a copy of your list, which I used as my scratch pad when I was looking through my record boxes. The records with the pencil marks are the ones are next to them are in the box. I think there's 27 counted. I also ran across another dozen records from the same time frame, 61 to 63, that I thought you might enjoy and have enclosed them as well. I figured that they could serve as replacements in the event you aren't able to locate any of the items on your list. The conditions of the 45s range from excellent to fair. Hopefully all will play satisfactorily. I played some of them the other night, but my wife started complaining around 11 p.m. I should think so, before I could play all of them, so I figured I'd better turn off the 45 record player. Thanks again for all the information you have provided me over the years that have helped me advance my knowledge with respect to my radio restoration efforts. I am definitely much more skilled as a result of your tutelage. I look forward to watching future episodes of the Seaberg Restoration and the many others I'm sure you will be producing now that retirement has kicked in. Mike from Georgia. What a great guy. I mean, this, you know, this kind of thing really, it's like, it's hard to explain. I keep going through this all the time. It's just hard to explain. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, obviously he won't take any money. He doesn't want any. He hasn't said anything about it. It wouldn't hurt my feelings one bit, Mike. It doesn't bother me, okay? If you want some cash, I'll send some cash. I know you think that you owe me something, but you really don't. So I'll tell you, if it's acceptable to you, you can send me another Gmail message. If it's acceptable to you, we can do what I always do in a situation like this, where someone sends me something and they really don't want the money returned or anything. I'm a big supporter of charities. I give a lot of money to charity during the year. At this Christmas season, I'd like to give some money to Salvation Army. I'm a big fan of Salvation Army. I think they do a lot of good. I will donate some money in your name this Christmas. Hopefully our buddy Gerald will be outside Walmart again. He's a good fella. He still works for Salvation Army. I'll put some money in the bucket in your name, and I'll make sure I put it on the video. Most of you by Christmas will forget all about it. I never forget. Unless I'm dead, the money will go in there. If that's agreeable to you, just let me know. Let me show you what some of these songs are. This video is going to have to run over in length now. Just Rock Around the Clock with Bill Haley. My God, I remember that song from 1955. I remember singing it. The Great Pretender, From the Platters, The Still of the Night, The Five Satins, Teen Angel, Lonely Boy, 16 Candles. 16 candles. Are you kidding? Oh, God, I feel like I'm a teenager again here. Twist, Chubby Checker. Boy, I remember when that came out. Our local movie theater in the matinee. We used to go on Saturday. You know, they had Saturday matinee. Cost you all the 15 cents to get in and watch the movie. And they had a Chubby Checker twist contest one time when the twist was the biggest thing in the country. And guys got up on stage, and the theater owner gave away prizes. You know, the kids in the audience, they all applauded as to who did the best twist. Oh, I can tell you stories you wouldn't believe. Back in the day, you know, when things were a lot more pleasant, maybe. Runaway, Del Shannon. Run Around Sue with Dion. Oh. Seventh Heaven here. Calendar Girl, Neil Sedaka. Hats Off to Larry with Del Shannon. Del Shannon and Dion were two of my big favorites. And the Four Seasons. Oh, Four Seasons were great. He's a Rebel. No, that's not there. Big Girls Don't Cry. Four Seasons, you bet. Sherry with the Four Seasons. The list goes on and on. Soldier Boy with Shirelle's Wanderer. They Call Me the Wanderer with Dion. All on the list. Those are the songs that are in here plus 10 others. The 10 others, by the way, I'll cover a few of those. Help Me Rhonda with the Beach Boys. Let's Hang On with the Four Seasons. If it says Four Seasons, it's good. Almost like ABBA, you know. Easier Said Than Done with Clara Wilson. That's a great one too. Honeycomb, Suspicion with Terry Stafford's a good one. Dedicated to the One I Love, the Shirelles. Wow. Wow. Mr. Lonely, Bobby Vinton. I'm Mr. Lonely. I better cut this off. I'll be sitting here singing you all to sleep or scaring the kids. Mike, thank you very much. This is so generous of you, I can't believe it. You and that guy down in Florida, what's his name? Ron C. Always sending me stuff all the time. It won't take anything in return. I appreciate it, I really do. And everybody who plays that jukebox, if I can ever get it going, which I really hope I will, anyone who ever plays that jukebox, your name's going to be on each one of these records. Donated by, okay? They'll know where they came from. At least your name, okay? Thank you very much. Until next time, this is John. Well, we all know what that means. Shout out to Mike from Georgia.